Hello, you're watching Health Day Now. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the future of depression treatment with Dr. Joanna Moncrief, Professor of Psychiatry at University College London, and Dr. Srijan Sen, Professor of Depression and Neurosciences at the University of Michigan. We'll also take a look at the mental health benefits of healthy eating and exercise, while debunking popular myths about causes and cures for depression.
Exercise has been shown to ease symptoms of anxiety and depression, but how long do you need to work out to reap the benefits? Researchers reviewed 15 previous investigations on the association between physical activity and depression. They found that those who participated in moderate exercise for 2.5 hours each week had a 25% lower risk of depression. That's the amount of exercise the government currently recommends for most adults. But participants who exercised about half that amount also saw significant relief, with their risk of depression dropping 18%. The authors say these findings suggest substantial mental health benefits can be achieved at physical activity levels even below the public health recommendations. On the other hand, exercising more than the recommended minimum may only provide limited extra relief. Young adults with depression may significantly improve their overall mood by eating a healthy diet, according to a new study. 76 teens and adults in Australia were recruited to take part in the research. All were diagnosed with moderate to high depression symptoms and followed a diet high in fat and sugar, suggesting poor eating habits. Participants were randomly assigned to either a diet intervention group or a regular diet group. Those in the intervention group were instructed to increase their intake of vegetables, fruits, whole grain cereals, lean protein, fish, unsweetened dairy, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and certain spices that have been shown to have beneficial effects on brain function. They were also asked to cut back on refined carbohydrates, sugar, fatty or processed meats, and soft drinks. To jumpstart their diet changes, people in the intervention group were given a hamper of healthy food samples and a $60 gift card for groceries. The regular diet group was simply asked to maintain their current eating habits. After 3 weeks, the intervention group showed significant improvement in mood, and their depression scores dropped into the normal range. Their level of anxiety also declined. Those in the regular diet group remained in the moderate to high range for depression. The researchers followed up with a smaller number of participants after 3 months, and while only 21% fully followed the healthy diet plan, those who did maintained their improvements in mood. The authors say these findings add to a growing literature showing a modest change to diet is a useful adjunct therapy to reduce symptoms of depression.
Hello, you're watching Health Day Now. I'm Mabel Jung. You may have heard about the chemical imbalance theory of depression, that a depressive state is caused by low levels of the neurotransmitter serotonin in the brain. The theory has been around since the 1960s, and it's stuck as a simple explanation for depression, and one with an enticingly simple treatment: taking selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs. Zoloft, Lexapro, Prozac will boost serotonin levels. It's what patients like 57-year-old retired educator Mary Christ was prescribed when isolated experiences of anxiety since childhood had finally come to a debilitating head in her 30s. She was prescribed SSRI antidepressants, which she says helped her live again.
I just started to feel like my normal self. I got functionality back. I could carry on a conversation. I wanted to be with people again, and I had lost all of that. So it just really helped tremendously and got me back to being who I wanted to be.
Perhaps many others, like Mary, don't exactly know what is happening in the brain while on medication, but she was certain that it was triggering a positive effect in her brain chemistry.
I don't remember it being explained very well. It wasn't until a lot later that the whole serotonin uptake inhibitor was kind of explained to me in a good way. And I didn't really care. I wasn't really concerned about what it was doing, other than it was really helping me.
And now a new major review has concluded that the medications based on the serotonin theory may not be helping in the way people believed, because the study found no clear evidence that low serotonin levels cause depression. The study has no direct implication on the efficacy of antidepressants, which have been shown to be moderately effective in clinical trials. Still, it has garnered widespread media attention and controversy, stoking confusion among patients and forcing explanations from the psychiatry field. Does this review finally put to rest the controversy surrounding chemical imbalance, or does it raise even more questions for the tens of millions of Americans that are on antidepressants? And what does that mean for the future treatment of their depression? I am so pleased to have with me right now Dr. Joanna Moncrief, professor of psychiatry at University College London and the lead author of the serotonin theory study, and Dr. Srijan Sen, professor of depression and neurosciences at the University of Michigan. Thank you to you both.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let me start with Dr. Moncrief. Most people believe that medications based on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRI, work by increasing serotonin levels in the brain, thereby relieving symptoms of depression. But your review of 50 years of studies had concluded that there is no clear evidence that low serotonin levels cause depression to begin with. Now, why did you believe that the study should be done now, and what should people take away from it?
The vast majority of the general public believe that this is an established fact, that there is evidence to support this idea that depression is caused by low serotonin. And indeed, many people are taking antidepressants because of that belief, because they've been told that is a fact, or they've been led to believe that is a fact. So that's why I thought it was really important to do this research and to be able to really make a definitive pronouncement on the state of evidence of this theory, of this idea.
Dr. Sen, over to you. What does this mean for you? Do you think that this does throw into question the efficacy of these drugs?
No, I think that to the last point, and that might be one of the more important points, is that it shouldn't affect how anyone thinks about whether these drugs are, or if these drugs are effective. I think an important part of the miscommunication that Dr. Moncrief referred to earlier is suggesting that our belief in whether drugs work, or understanding whether they work, should rely on our understanding of their biological mechanisms, and it really should rely on clinical trials. That's true outside of mental health and brain disorders. We don't really understand fully how statins work for lowering cholesterol. We're learning more about it, but the reason we use them is because of clinical trials. The clinical trials show that SSRIs are moderately effective. They're not blockbuster drugs that help everyone, but it's clear that there's a subset of people that these medications work, and a subset that they don't work for.
Okay, Dr. Moncrief, I want to get back to the original serotonin hypothesis that a chemical imbalance in the brain, including a deficiency of serotonin, causes depression. How did this come about? Why did people start linking that together?
So the serotonin hypothesis was first proposed in the 1960s, and I think it was part of the efforts of the psychiatric profession to improve its status and demonstrate its medical credentials. And it was then taken up by the pharmaceutical industry in the 1990s when they produced the SSRI type antidepressants. And that's when it was massively promoted and became part of marketing campaigns that established this idea in the minds of the public. So what I would say to patients is that they need to think clearly about the implications of this study, and they need to consider the possibility that antidepressants are not working through a biological mechanism, through targeting an underlying biological mechanism, and maybe working through placebo effects or through the mental alterations they cause, such as the emotional numbing effect.
For Mary, discovering that antidepressants may not work in the way they were originally intended doesn't change the fact that they've helped her immensely.
I believe it really saved my life. I was never suicidal. I certainly didn't want to live, but I don't doubt that I could have become suicidal if I hadn't found a solution.
Now, Dr. Sen, what is your explanation to patients of what the underlying causes are of a depressive state? And how do you know whether that patient is a good candidate for uh, SSRIs, antidepressants?
I mean, I think we have to be humble. I don't think anyone can definitively say what the underlying state of depression is, and I don't think our current understanding, or at least my current understanding, is that depression is one unitary thing or one unitary disease. There's something like 1,500 combinations of symptoms that can get you a depression diagnosis, but our current way of treating patients is treating them all in the same way. I think different treatments are likely to work for different patients. We're not at a state yet where we're great at matching up patients and subtyping them, and oftentimes people have to cycle through many approaches and treatments before they find the one that works.
We know that life events, adverse life events and trauma and abuse very strongly predict your risk of developing depression. And I think that we need to help each individual to work out what their depression is a response to and how they can address that. And that will be different for each individual person. For some, it might involve psychotherapy. For some, it might involve just some adjustments to their life, their circumstances. And for others, it may involve other sorts of interventions.
Sen and most psychiatric experts emphasize that we can't throw out the effective tools we have while we look for other options.
We certainly should affect and try to improve the driving causes of depression, which I agree are trauma and life stress and some things about the modern world. But I think that shouldn't affect the need that we feel to treat once people are struggling. And the tools we have now, the SSRIs and other medications are far from perfect, but they help some people. And as we develop new treatments, we shouldn't lose sight of the people struggling now and making sure to help them.
Mary hopes the increased focus on depression treatment will lead to more answers.
I hope that this sort of research will promote further research to figure out what it is that does work about these drugs, because I really do believe that they do work. It may not be the way that they thought the serotonin was being impacted or how serotonin impacts us, but there's something about them that works.
Indeed, throwing out old theories has brought new potential treatments into focus.
Yeah, there's interesting work with psychedelics in both the biology and animal models and some early clinical trials. I think the clinical trial data is not clear yet, and particularly it's hard to have well-controlled placebos, because most people can tell when they're on a psychedelic, or ketamine's another direction, another new antidepressant, or that is promising. I think related to this, so I think it's possible that we'll develop new medications from those, and they could help some people. I hope in parallel we continue to try to understand the biology and figure out what's going on in the different types of depression. But I think it's important to expect that there's going to be fits and starts and theories that pan out, ones that don't. And we really shouldn't let those, and those will make the news, and we shouldn't let those studies and fits and starts affect our understanding of whether the different treatments are working. Those, again, should be really based on the clinical trials.
Our thanks to Dr. Joanna Moncrief, professor of psychiatry at University College London, and the lead author of the serotonin theory study, and Dr. Shrijan Sen, professor of depression and neurosciences at the University of Michigan. And our thanks to Mary Christ, retired educator, for sharing her story. I'm Mabel Zhang. You've been watching Health Day Now.
Is there such a thing as good stress? The answer may be yes, according to a new study. Researchers say the right amount of stress may act like a vaccine protecting against symptoms of mental illness. Their study included more than 1,200 young adults who reported on their stress levels by answering questions like, in the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? Or, how often have you found that you could not cope with all the things that you had to do? The participants also underwent cognitive testing to measure things like attention span, memory, and their ability to suppress automatic responses. The results showed that low to moderate levels of stress induce resilience and reduce the risk of developing mental health symptoms such as anxiety, depression, and aggressive behavior. One study author says most of us have some adverse experiences that actually make us stronger and help us develop skills that prepare us for the future. But he warns the ability to tolerate stress varies greatly between people, and high levels of chronic stress from things like poverty and abuse can lead to negative health and psychological consequences. Taking fish oil supplements will not prevent depression or improve mood, according to a new study. The study included more than 18,000 depression-free adults who were randomly assigned to take either omega-3 fish oil supplements or placebo for around 5 to 7 years. The researchers found no evidence that omega-3 supplements prevented depression or boosted mood. The senior author says while these findings do not support the use of omega-3 fatty acid supplements to prevent depression, there are still health reasons for some people under the guidance of their healthcare providers to take omega-3 fish oil supplements. She says these supplements have been shown to support heart health, reduce inflammation in the body, and help manage existing depression in high-risk patients. Pets can be a powerful partner in keeping you healthy, according to the American Heart Association. Experts say the bond between people and their pets helps bolster emotional and mental well-being, especially during tough times like the COVID-19 pandemic. Here are 3 ways pets may improve your mood, thinking, and behavior. Number 1, they help reduce work-related stress. Research shows animals in the workplace cut stress, increase productivity, and improve employee satisfaction. Number 2, pets help manage anxiety. They provide companionship and unconditional love, making their owners feel less anxious and less lonely. Number 3, pets keep their owners active. As we continue to social distance, pets give people a reason to go outside for fresh air and exercise. A growing body of evidence shows physical activity improves symptoms of depression, lowers anxiety, improves sleep, and boosts overall mood. The American Heart Association says the mental health challenges and stress caused by the coronavirus crisis may also impact factors that increase heart disease risk, including high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, not exercising, and overeating. Dr. Glenn Levine, author of the association's statement on pet ownership and heart risk, says, if you're feeling down or struggling with your mental health, your pet companion can help. Spend some time with them, playing or just petting them. You may find that you feel better, and your pet will love the bonding time too.
Thanks for watching Health Day Now.